Hello, friends. If there's one song that transcends generations, Love Hurts is certainly at the top of the list.
Love hurts, love scars.
This unforgettable ballad, immortalized by Dan McCafferty's voice, became an absolute rock classic of the 1970s. But what many don't know is that this song didn't start out as a rock song. In fact, it was originally released in the 1960s by an American duo.
Love hurts, love scars.
The Everly Brothers recorded Love Hurts as a country ballad, included in their 1960 album, A Date with the Everly Brothers. It wasn't until years later that Nazareth took this song and completely transformed it. They stripped away its country roots, slowed down the tempo, and infused it with such intense emotion that it felt like a true lament of pain. What makes Nazareth's cover unique is Dan McCafferty's anguished delivery and the hypnotic guitar solo in the chorus, which creates a dense and unforgettable atmosphere. But Nazareth is more than just Love Hurts. The Scottish band built a career spanning over 5 decades, filled with highs and lows, hits and challenges. And in today's video, we're diving deep into this incredible journey. The members of Nazareth were true survivors in the world of rock, enduring every trend and even tragedies throughout their 5-decade-long career. Their professionalism and dedication earned them fans worldwide, as well as multiple gold and platinum records. Even though they've been known as Nazareth since 1970, their story goes back much further. The key members of the classic lineup, Dan McCafferty, Manny Charlton, Pete Agnew, and Daryl Sweet, began their journey in the 1960s as a band called the Shadettes. They were a show band-style group, known for wearing matching yellow suits and performing cover songs in venues across Dunfermline, a town in Scotland. In 1961, the bassist Pete Agnew founded the Shadettes with his schoolmate Alfred Murray. Like most bands, their members changed over the years, eventually paving the way for the arrival of the drummer Daryl Sweet, who replaced the original drummer Alan Frazier. In a 2004 interview with Classic Rock, Pete Agnew recalled that Daryl was only 16 years old at the time. He played drums in a bagpipe band and would often show up at gigs wearing a kilt, sometimes a little too enthusiastic. Every now and then, we'd let Daryl join us on stage, and eventually he became part of the band. The next to join them was Dan McCafferty in 1965. The story of how he became part of the Shadettes is quite unusual. I was hired to set up and maintain the equipment while they were on tour. When one of the singers decided to leave on the day of a show, the guys decided to give me a shot. They had heard me sing in the van, but I went straight in, no rehearsal. Des Haldane's yellow suit, the guy who left, almost fit me, Dan recalled. Dan McCafferty's signature trait was always his raspy voice. And although he was a lifelong smoker, there was never a real explanation for the roughness and power of his vocal cords. The only thing I could think of is that I'm a hard-working guy, he once said. The final missing piece of the Shadettes was Manuel Manny Charlton, a guitarist who joined in 1968 and encouraged them to move away from being just a cover band. When Manny joined us, he was the first to suggest that we start writing our own songs, Pete recalled. We had never even considered that before because we were hired as a cover band. Then, all of a sudden, bands like Led Zeppelin, Deep Purple, and Spooky Tooth started emerging, and a whole new world of possibilities opened up. With their band fully formed, the first change they made was their name. One day in 1970, the quartet was at a local bar, discussing possible new names when The Wait by the band started playing over the sound system. The song's opening lines includes the lyrics,
I pulled into Nazareth, was feeling about half-past dead.
The phrase immediately caught Pete Agnew's attention, and he suggested Nazareth. His bandmates agreed, and from that moment on, that was their new name. Unlike most young bands chasing fame and fortune, the members of Nazareth were already married men with children. While they were eager to move to London and build a solid career, they also needed to earn a living from the start. Their lifeline came in the form of Bill Fahilly, a Scottish businessman who had made his fortune in bingo halls and was willing to finance the band. Nazareth's first official concert outside Scotland took place in London. Their first promotional photos were taken in a nightclub. Pete Agnew recalled, "We still had straw coming out of our ears, but when our wives saw the photos with the strippers, man, the explanations we had to give." After several months of performing in the Capitol, Dan McCafferty's stage presence caught the attention of Pegasus Records, which signed the band in 1971. Their first two albums, Nazareth and Exercises, didn't sell very well, but they gained enough traction to land a U.S. tour with Deep Purple. Deep Purple's bassist, Roger Glover, was a fan of Nazareth and agreed to produce their third album. This came at a critical time because, despite gaining more fans at their concerts, the band's money was running out. In addition to paying salaries, their funds had been spent on equipment, tour expenses, a Mercedes van, and recording their first two albums. The drummer Daryl Sweet later admitted that they had hit rock bottom, and only a miracle could save them. That's when Roger Glover stepped in and offered his help. The bassist was about to leave Deep Purple, but his reputation alone was enough to reassure everyone. Pete Agnew said, "It was clearly the right decision because Roger stayed with us for 2 more albums. He was a tireless worker, which was exactly what we needed. You'd finish recording, but before letting you go, he'd make you rehearse the song you'd be working on the next day. Sometimes we complained, but it was a lesson well worth learning." The 1973 album Razamanaz was Nazareth's first commercial success, breaking into the Canadian Top 40, where it was eventually certified platinum, and producing 2 UK Top 10 hits with Bad Bad Boy and Broken Down Angel. Their fourth album, Loud and Proud, was released just 6 months after Razamanaz. Once again produced by Roger Glover, this record had a harder and more aggressive sound, featuring original tracks like Go Down Fighting and covers like Joni Mitchell's This Flight Tonight. The latter became a huge success, reaching first place in Germany in the UK Top 10, making Loud and Proud a commercial hit, and earning Nazareth their second platinum album in Canada. Their next album, Rampant, 1974, was also successful, breaking into the UK Top 20 and earning another gold record in Canada. Despite all this recognition, it wasn't until their 6th album, released in 1975, that Nazareth achieved international fame and became widely known among American rock fans. The album's title track, Hair of the Dog, became a radio hit in the US. But the real breakthrough came with the ballad Love Hurts, which climbed to 8th place on the Billboard Hot 100. This was a pleasant surprise, as the band had never managed to score a hit in the US before. Love Hurts also reached the top 10 in Canada, South Africa, Norway, and the Netherlands, pushing album sales past 1 million copies. In an interview with ClassicBands.com, Pete Agnew revealed that the band had always wanted to record it. "We all loved the song. We used to play songs we liked and heard on tapes. When we recorded Love Hurts, I believe we did 42 different versions of it. The version we used to listen to was the one by Graham Parsons and Emmylou Harris. We recorded Love Hurts as a B-side track, but when I listen to it now, it's probably one of the greatest rock ballads of all time, and the vocals are definitely among the top 3. Throughout the 1970s, Nazareth continued to release successful albums and appeared multiple times on the Old Grey Whistle Test, a BBC music program. They became the go-to band whenever an artist canceled at the last minute, thanks to their friendship with the producer Mike Appleton. Although their songs started dropping from international charts after 1982, Nazareth kept releasing albums and selling out tours across Europe, especially in Germany. The truth is, the band's reputation never faded. Even Guns N' Roses recognized Nazareth as a major influence. In their 1993 album, The Spaghetti Incident, they even covered Hair of the Dog.
busted. How can I get through to your woman? I think your loving is fine. Only one I was trying to forget. Someone I had been.
Without a doubt, Nazareth reached the heights they did thanks to the manager, Bill Fahily, a well-known figure in the Scottish music scene during the 1960s. He took over managing the band and was crucial in bringing them to London, where they secured their first recording contract. Tragically, in 1976, he, his son, and a lawyer died in a plane crash. The next major loss for the band was the drummer Daryl Sweet, who suddenly passed away from a heart attack in 1998. At the time, Nazareth was about to embark on a tour to promote their 20th album, Boogaloo. Devastated by Daryl's passing at just 51 years old, they postponed the tour and returned home. After much reflection, they decided to continue, with Pete Agnew's eldest son taking over on drums. The two most recent losses in Nazareth's history happened in the same year. Manny Charlton was the band's guitarist, producer, and co-songwriter from 1968 to 1990, playing on Nazareth's most successful albums. In 1986, he was hired by Geffen Records to oversee the demo recordings for what would become Appetite for Destruction, Guns N' Roses' first big success. That session produced over 24 tracks, but Manny couldn't work on the final recordings due to his commitments with Nazareth. The album went on to reach the top of the Billboard 200 for 5 weeks, spawning classics like Sweet Child of Mine, Paradise City, and Welcome to the Jungle. After leaving Nazareth, Manny pursued a solo career and released his final work in 2016. He passed away on July 6, 2022, at the age of 80. The cause of death was not disclosed. The last Nazareth album, featuring its founding vocalist, was Rock and Roll Telephone, released in 2014. In 2013, Dan McCafferty announced that he was retiring from touring because of breathing difficulties caused by chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. That same year, he collapsed during a show in Cranbrook, British Columbia, due to a stomach ulcer. "I'm sad about it, but I simply can't sing a full live set anymore," Dan said in 2014. He was replaced by Carl Sentence, though he later managed to record his third and final solo album in 2019. Dan passed away on November 8, 2022, at the age of 76. With over 20 million albums sold worldwide, Nazareth's current group consists of the vocalist Carl Sentence, the guitarist Jimmy Murrison, the bassist Pete Agnew, and his son, the drummer Lee Agnew. In a 2004 interview with Classic Rock, Pete reflected, "It's funny. We've been a rock band, we've been pop stars, and suddenly we became dinosaurs. But if you can survive the dinosaur era, you become a legend, and as long as Dan and I are around, Nazareth will always live on."